Would we have to flee?
We received direction from the branch. Those brothers are so far away, though. I keep wondering if they are being overly cautious. Maybe for the brothers in the city. But for us here, is that the right decision?
I don't know. Would we have to go to a camp?
I think about Musa. He would not be able to make such a trip.
I'm thinking about Sifa too.
You know, around the elections, these tensions always seem to pop up. But overall, things are pretty stable around here, don't you think?
See all those people out there?
Yeah.
They would love to work with me. This is not an offer you refuse. And you said this was all done and you had it all covered.
He'll be fine.
Fix it! And don't waste my time.
Dunia, you have to let me explain.
Explain what, Amani? How could you embarrass me like that in front of him?
You don't understand.
Understand what? This is a lifetime deal for the family. You see why I don't bring big contract to you? I can't believe you. How could you refuse that?
Hold on.
In front of him. I can't believe this.
Yakobo. You there?
So there you go. Thus concludes the first part of this year's feature drama being shown to Jehovah's Witnesses at their Exercise Patience Convention. The title, Commit Your Way to Jehovah. Shiz is getting real for Amani and his family, with some violence and civil unrest being fairly graphically depicted, which I'll come to. And Amani is in a particularly tight spot, as we've seen there, due to his reticence to take on the job of government carpenter, which again is apparently a thing. That's the offer that he shouldn't refuse. Very Godfather-esque, wasn't it, that part? This is an offer that you do not refuse. You mean to be a government carpenter? Yes, that. I need my government carpenter. All of my political aspirations will unravel unless you can make tables and chairs for me. I mean, could they not have chosen pretty much anything else? I'm thinking something like social media campaign manager or someone who does coding, anything that's remotely plausible as being lucrative in terms of a job. But apparently this political figure, his whole political campaign, his aspirations hinge on how good Amani is at knocking together tables and chairs. Anyway, I don't want to repeat myself. What I did find interesting was that first clip I showed you where Amani is confiding in his wife. This is actually quite interesting because it alludes to an aspect of Jehovah's Witness culture that doesn't really get talked about that much, and that's the whole elder's wife deal. Basically, if you're a woman in the Jehovah's Witness organization, you can't aspire to any position of power or authority because women aren't allowed to be teachers. They're not allowed to take any role of leadership within the congregation. The only thing they can aspire to is maybe giving experiences on the platform when called upon, giving answers in the meetings, basically doing anything under the direction of a male teacher. They can aspire to cleaning the Kingdom Hall, or they can aspire to being pioneers and doing lots of work in the preaching work. And beyond that, your levels of aspiration then go into whose wife you are. So if you can be, say, an elder's wife or a circuit overseer's wife, or maybe a Bethel elder's wife, I don't know, then suddenly you have a bit more prestige than simply a woman in the congregation who's perhaps a pioneer, or just any woman in the congregation. You have a little bit more insight into what's going on behind the scenes. And it's for this reason that, of course, elders are going to confide to at least some degree in their wives. They're not supposed to do it. It's not like it's a written policy thing where they're given permission to confide in their wives. If anything, you can probably find Watchtower articles reminding elders not to do this. But because it's so rampant, they even include it in the script, and not even in a derogatory way. It's not like we're supposed to frown on this or question the fact that Amani's wife is being given a heads up, advance warning of the direction that's coming from the branch. It's just a given that this happens. And my question would be, how does this fit in with the whole falling in line with Jehovah's direction and the way God's organization is supposed to operate? Isn't this an entirely human thing if elders can divulge information so freely to their wives? And the second thing I found really interesting was how they are again showing violence at their convention. And this is a convention, I make this point practically every year, but it bears repeating. This is a convention that children are supposed to attend. If you're a Jehovah's Witness parent, if you are a mum or dad, it's not optional whether you bring your children along. You have to bring them along. You're supposed to bring them along. Their presence is expected. So if children are supposed to be attending these conventions, in my opinion, this places a duty upon the people making the content to make sure it's age appropriate. And my question would be, is what we've just seen age appropriate for, say, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old? Would it not be unnecessarily frightening for them to have this scene where suddenly men emerge with baseball bats and machine guns, and you hear machine gun fire, and you see people fleeing in a state of panic? Is that really age appropriate for young children? Of course, the organization has already given their opinion on this.
We might mention that we've had just a few parents write in expressing concern that some of our videos depict scenes that could have an effect on children who've been protected from anything even hinting at an act of violence. Many parents choose to help their children appreciate the graphic visual imagery of a Bible-based video, while at the same time building trust in Jehovah, who will be with them in times of distress. This is similar to what they do when reading a graphic biblical account to their children from the Scriptures, such as from the book of Revelation. Be assured that we'll continue to be sensitive to the feelings of you parents when we produce a video that's based on a Bible account that includes descriptions of warfare or other incidents of violent actions. We'll do so with care, while not ignoring the powerful details depicted in the inspired Word of God.
So that's why we're seeing yet more violence in this year's convention. And I know it's not graphic violence. It's not like you can see blood or you can see people being shot. I don't think you can even see guns being fired. But I don't think you even need to be a parent to know that there are some things that very small children shouldn't really be seeing, or where at least parents should have discretion. They should have the ability to decide what sort of content their children are seeing. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for parents who do feel this isn't age appropriate, who are Jehovah's Witnesses, the decision by the likes of Stephen Lett has already been made for them.